Wednesday, July 24th, 2024 for a regular City Commission meeting. Let's start with a roll call, please.
Mayor Skidmore.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Allen.
Present.
Commissioner Kaler.
Present.
Commissioner Clayton.
Present.
And Commissioner Crowley.
Present.
We're all here, so we do have a quorum. I want to welcome everybody here, as well as watching on some form of social media. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed with an invocation online by Reverend Terrence Roberson from the Bethany Chapel Baptist Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we all please bow our heads in prayer. Father God, we thank you for this meeting, oh God. Lord, we just ask, God, that you would just look down over the agenda, oh Lord, for the betterment of our city, oh God. Lord, we just ask, God, that you would just be with the mayor pro tem, and the full staff and cabinet. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Appreciate that.
Bless you.
I really truly appreciate all the churches working together to bring us a prayer each time. So I want to congratulate all of them and thank them all to break it. It may continue as well. Don't want to stop this from happening. We want to keep that a part of our program. So thank you very much for everybody.
Copy that. Thank you, sir.
Let's go to public comments. Do we have any today?
We have none registered.
Okay, we'll go on to item 7, which would be a proclamation recognizing July 26, 2024 as Access Awareness Day. And the proclamation will be accepted by Accessibility Advisory Board and or Lucas Neese, if he's here. And we'll have Commissioner Crowley read that for us today.
Oh, I passed it off on to Clayton.
Oh, Commissioner Clayton. Here we go.
One of those seats.
Go ahead.
Proclamation reads, whereas the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, was passed on July 26, 1990 to ensure the civil rights of citizens with disabilities. And whereas the City of Ottawa of the State of Kansas affirms the principles of equality, accessibility, and inclusion are essential for ensuring that all community members have access to opportunities and the ability to fully participate in the community life as set forth for the State of Kansas and embodied in the ADA, the laws of the State of Kansas and ordinances of Ottawa. And whereas numerous organizations in the City of Ottawa, Kansas, and the State of Kansas work with constituents and communities to bring forth the promise of hope and freedom that is envisioned by the passage of the ADA. And whereas accessibility should be part of all aspects of community life, physical, social, and economic, including employment, transportation, recreation, housing. And whereas we all have a role to play in ensuring that our communities are as accessible and inclusive as possible. And whereas approximately 12.5% of the population has a disability, which often impacts their ability to effectively access services and shopping. And whereas July 26, 2024 celebrates the 34th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act with Access Awareness Day in Ottawa. Now, therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas does hereby recognize the rights of all individuals with disabilities and the importance of ensuring that they have access to the opportunities that are important to them, and that they give their lives meaning, and to all observing July 26th, 2024 as Access Awareness Day in the City of Ottawa, signed this 24th day of July 2024 by our Mayor, Michael Skidmore.
Or soon to be signed, right?
Soon to be signed.
Okay, it'll be signed quick here. And Director Neese, let's get this first, and you have a few words.
I'll just say that appreciate the proclamation, appreciate the work that the Accessibility Awareness Board does, and it's fantastic that after 34 years, this is it's something that is in each department's work. How are we making our community more accessible to everybody with diverse needs? And that is it is an ongoing work, but it's built into what we're doing, and I'm glad that that's a change that's happened over the last 34 years. So.
I will say about 30 years ago, I had some leg surgery, put me on crutches for about 60 days, longer than normal leg break, and it made me appreciate all the more escalators, elevators, and heated stairs. I realized at that moment how many stairs there were in this world. And not until you become disabled temporarily like I was, do you recognize and realize all the areas of unaccess, I would call it. So I'm certainly glad we have this board to look around town and to report to us different areas where we need to be aware of this access. So thank you for this proclamation, and Director Neese, thanks for accepting it today. Was there anybody else from the Accessibility Advisory Board here today? I just want to recognize anybody there. Okay, we'll move on then. Recognition, Matt Simonson, Multimedia Specialist, for winning the Excellence Award at Best of Midwest Media Fest. The Information Technology Director, Sommer, will report. Paul.
All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm pleased to announce that Matt Simonson has won the Hometown Media Award from the Alliance for Community Media Foundation. Matt received the Best of Voter Education Access Center Professional Award for his video, Be in the Know, County Government. The same video had previously won a regional award at the Best of the Midwest Media Fest in April of this year. And so this was the first national award that Matt has received while working for the city. Some cities that have previously won this award are Cape Cod, Massachusetts, Fairfax, Virginia, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Manhattan, not the Manhattan you're probably thinking of. This was the lesser known Manhattan in New York. And today we add the city of Ottawa to that list of winners, thanks to the work of Matt Simonson. Matt joined the city in 2006, bringing with him valuable experience from WIBW and a degree in film from the University of Kansas. We're proud of Matt's accomplishments and the positive impact his work has had. And I want to congratulate Matt on this honor.
Well, great. Matt, come forward.
Well, second time in 2 weeks. What are the odds?
Tell you what, we're getting used to it.
Thank you, Commission and Mayor. It means a lot, and hopefully there's more to come in the future. So, yeah, thank you. And appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congrats.
Thanks.
We're proud of you, and look at those other cities. I think we were the smallest city in all those you listed there, I think, so that's quite an honor to be in there and be in that company, so congratulations. We'll go on to consent agenda. We have the minutes from the July 17, 2024 City Commission meeting, as well as the minutes from the advisory boards. And do we have agenda approval?
So moved.
Commissioner, is there a second?
I will second.
There's two. Take your pick here. Any other discussion? Not. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. We'll go on to item number 9, which is a declaration. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Hearing none, and no unfinished business, so we'll go on to new business. You want to read that?
Item A, K68 Corridor Access Management Plan.
The K68 Access Management Plan, initiated to manage the significant development interests along the corridor between Davis Road and I-35 interchange, seeks to enhance traffic flow, safety, and community access in response to potential commercial and light industrial expansion. And City Manager Silcott.
Thank you, Mayor and City Commission. Just want to reiterate that this plan was initiated to manage development along the K68 corridor so that we can plan ahead to meet those growing needs and challenges, with the primary driver being safety and ease of access for our community members. And with that, I'll now turn the presentation over to members of our project team, which we have here from KDOT, the project engineering firm, GBA, George Butler and Associates, and our citizen engagement consultant from Shockey Consulting as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to someone we should all know well and was active participant in our engagement. So,
all right, do you have
thank
my
you.
presentation ready?
Yes, we
Mr.
do.
Rudd? All right, let's go ahead and run
There
our
we go.
presentation.
And it's the down slide.
All right, so good afternoon,
You can
everyone.
adjust the podium if you
Oh,
need to.
sure,
so
let me
there
go
is
up a little bit here.
Button there. There you
Yes.
go.
Is that good?
Yes.
All right.
We gotta use it, so.
All right. Well, good evening. My name is David Seitz. I'm with the Kansas Department of Transportation Planning. I'm managing the K68 Access Management Plan. I'm here this evening to report that our project team has been very hard at work. They've completed the initial investigations, worked with the key stakeholders, and come up with some really good ideas for K68. I recently approved a final version of the study and posted it on the KDOT website. The project is nearly complete. Also here with me tonight are representatives from GBA and Shockey Consulting, the project team tasked with producing the study. And I'd like to just say right up front, thank you for your participation in this report. And thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. And thank you for the kind write-up on the agenda as well. So let me see if I can, do I just hit the button here? Okay, all right. So please see this agenda for this evening's presentation. I'll provide a brief project overview. Then Andrew Robertson will provide a report overview and recommendations for the project. And I'll finish it up with next steps and funding opportunities at the end of this. Okay, so the purpose of the study was to analyze safety, traffic operations, and a plan for future growth and development with new roadways, pedestrian facilities, lighting, signage. The three primary goals of this study were safety, mobility, and providing economic opportunities to this area. So this slide represents a timeline for the project. The project kicked off in September of 2023. The public engagement occurred February of 2024. May to June of 2024, the final plan was reviewed and approved. June 2024, it was posted on KDOT's website. So next I'll pass this off to Andrew Robertson, who will share the report contents and recommendations.
Thank you again for having us here. My name is Andrew Robertson. I am the transportation and traffic engineer who worked on this project and managed the content of the report. The report was based on other KDOT access management studies following a typical content outline. The QR code that you see on the right of the slide, it will direct you straight to the report if you wanted to take a look. The study documented background information. It provided an overview and purpose of access management, and it detailed existing conditions of K68 from Spruce Street to the southbound I-35 interchange ramps. The study did not cover the interchange ramps because that was part of another separate project. The study team collected information from local plans for future land use and explored how transportation safety improvements would best serve development. Using collected traffic counts and field observations, a plan for access management was developed and then shared with stakeholders along K68. Gathering feedback was a critical success factor for the project. Using feedback, the project team discussed and revised the recommendations for future access management improvements as shown on the following slides. This slide shows recommendations for the west half of the project, while the next slide shows the east half. Recommendations included changes to access points, proposed roadways, medians, sidewalks, shared use paths for walking and bicycling, and necessary right-of-way. Existing access points and median breaks along the road were considered when evaluating what was feasible to accomplish. Connectivity of proposed roadways connecting to K68 plays a big role in both safety and operations. With additional choices for passenger vehicles, trucks, bicycles, and pedestrians, the level of congestion for K68 traffic can be managed. Intersections along the corridor could be full access, partial access, or could be signalized depending on the needs of future development with approval by the city and KDOT. Placing a traffic signal at every single intersection was not a valid solution and would have impacted operational performance. Instead, the team delivered a balanced approach that met KDOT access management guidelines. With this map, the city and KDOT can determine how to manage the details for development in consideration with the needs of future public activity. With these recommendations, the report documented an implementation strategy that explained possibilities for when these improvements would be needed. And back to you, David.
All right. Thank you very much, Andrew. Let's see. Okay, so the next steps for this project is to officially close it out. KDOT will continue to handle the administrative items related to the project closeout. This plan will remain on KDOT's website. The plan will serve as a guide in making decisions on K68. This guidance may be applied to continuing to provide safe accesses to the businesses that are already there, as well as accommodating future growth in Ottawa. So future projects could be advanced directly from this plan to the design phase when the time is right. KDOT plans to continue to cooperate with the city to determine what the priorities are and when and what projects in this plan should be advanced to design and construction. The projects listed in this plan will be eligible for consideration of KDOT's corridor construction program. The corridor program provides funds for reimbursement of construction dollars up to $2 million maximum for projects identified in an access management plan. The award of these dollars is subject to availability, and the funds are typically on a first-come, first-served basis. The preference is to select projects that meet the goals of providing safety, mobility, and economic opportunities. This plan can also be used to support other priority funding opportunities at KDOT. Having the plan in place shows that the initial investigations have been completed. Adding the plan to applications and referencing this plan in applications for funding helps to support your cause. So this plan is flexible, and we will work with you on whatever needs come up. So please look forward to cooperation between KDOT and Ottawa into the future to find solutions that will meet the transportation needs. So I'd like to say, before we wrap this up, thank you for everything this evening. Thank you for your time. And I look forward to continued partnerships and cooperation on this plan.
Well, this is really exciting to see this, and I just want to appreciate your community participation as well. We met, 2 or 3 months ago, I can't think when that was, with a pretty good sized group in here. Will there be one more now that this has been proposed, or is that, how will that work?
This was our final engagement opportunity, but we did send an email last night to communicate to the stakeholders that this plan is posted on KDOT's website. We also informed them of our presentation at the meeting as well.
Okay,
so there could be some future communications. We think it's probably one-on-one if we do it. I think that we worked out most of those issues at that meeting in February.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
I think there was one concern. I was at a table talking with someone and the owner of the property, just at the intersection of K68 and I-35, the former John Deere dealership,
right,
being able to have access go both ways. I didn't really see that on there. Was that worked
Yeah.
out?
So I think that we did do that at Wildcat Drive. Oh, excuse me. Let me go back. Yes, I believe we were able to work that out. We
Right
are
there.
going to plan to provide full access at Wildcat Drive, right there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes.
And going to the north as well, right?
Yes, to the north as well.
That's right across there. Okay, very good.
Yes. So I know Andrew said, some of these could be 3/4 access or full access, and we plan to work with you on that depending on what development comes. I think we understood that there were some of these lots had more potential than others for the next step, and potentially you could have another signal in there. Currently, you're planned for one at the 35 interchange. You already have one at Davis. So we think that those signals are going to provide enough gaps in there that we can continue to move people on and off of the highway pretty safely. But potentially you could have another one in the middle somewhere, but we haven't really made that determination. We'll have to figure out what comes.
Sure. That sounds good. Anyone else? Any other questions anybody in the panel has?
You had mentioned the potential signal at I-35 and 68 there. Do you know, in terms of where we are kind of in the process, or in a life cycle of that project, where?
Yes. So that was identified in the previous K68 study, which basically stopped at the I-35 interchange. So we've seen some significant progress on the K68 study towards the east end of the state over there, where we are expanding the highway to 4 lanes. I think that it's still a good plan. I think that that's still in play, that it could come up. At this point, I don't know that we've actually seen a request for a signal there.
Okay.
I think we had a safety study that looked into whether the warrants were met or not, and I can't remember if that safety study identified it or not. Do you remember if it was warranted yet? It's not quite warranted yet then.
Very good. Any other questions? Well, this is exciting. I think this corridor, as far as being 4 lanes going out, is the most undeveloped one we have, and I think this will be an exciting moment and future for Ottawa with all the potential anyway. I like the idea of the reverse frontage road. I had never seen that before, but I think it's a great idea to be able to capitalize the access from that direction. So very creative design. I just want to compliment you all on your hard work on this thing and hopefully see it to fruition. So looking forward to that.
All right, well, thank you very much. I hope so too.
We're ready. All right. Thanks very much. Appreciate you very much for all of you to be here. And wow, are we almost done? I got comments by city manager. This went fast, didn't it? We still get paid, right? Okay, thanks. Okay.
Well, I think this might be the longest part of the meeting, actually.
Oh, okay.
You can tell that I was not a very good point guard if I had to have played David in basketball in high school, because I got to lower the podium here. I'd have been stuffed a lot. Want to point out a wonderful accomplishment of our city team bringing outside dollars to the community to support operation and cultural events. The OMA received notice today that we received a $15,127 grant from the Kansas Arts Commission to support our general operations. This was one of 4 components for grant submittals that were allowed, and I got to be honest, I had even had a conversation with our city clerk, Melissa Reed, and OMA director, Tiffany Evans, and our human resource director, Michelle Stegman, on the long shots that operational assistants usually receive in these types of endeavors. But I think it speaks to the quality of the venue that we have, the programming that occurs there, and most of all, the people, both at the OMA and at City Hall here, who helped support and write the grant and really have something that would be operational and stand out amongst the crowd. And so I'm proud to work with these folks each and every day. We were a small part of the nearly 1.3 million that was awarded for this. There were 108 recipients, and you can see the map of Kansas with our county maps here in blue, and of course there we are in Franklin. So I would like to thank Tiffany, Melissa, and Matt, as well as Noah and Eddie for their work. And I have our team here ready to answer any questions that you may have on that. In the meantime, I would like for you to view the video that was presented along with our application.
I'm Tiffany Evans, Director of the Ottawa Memorial Auditorium in Ottawa, Kansas. Built in 1919 and opening in 1921, the OMA has been providing cultural and performance experiences for our community and beyond for over 100 years. Our venue was originally constructed as a memorial to World War I soldiers in our community who perished in the war. Since its opening, the OMA has provided performance space for touring artists and local performers, as well as educational and gathering space for local businesses, civic organizations, and individuals. Our community partners include Ottawa University, the Ottawa Recreation Commission, the Ottawa Library, the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce, the Ottawa Main Street Association, Franklin County Leadership, We work with many different touring dance groups as well as local dance companies, the area high schools, and the Flint Hill League music program, and that list continues to go on and on and on. In 2023, our touring artist shows garnered not only a large attendance from Ottawa and Franklin County, but from 70 different zip codes, including Boston, Michigan, and Minnesota. Our venue operates on a small staff of 1 full-time director, 1 full-time technical coordinator / building maintenance, 2 part-time sound and light techs, and a plethora of volunteers from our local community and our OMA advisory board and friends of the OMA. Our staff is also supported by the departments within the City of Ottawa who owns the facility. Being awarded the KCAIC grant would allow us to continue offering performance and entertainment opportunities right here in our rural community, not only supporting artists but also supporting the economy of our town, from pre-show dinner and drinks to hotel stays and shopping. The Ottawa Memorial Auditorium has been and continues to be a very important asset to our community and our patrons.
That's great.
So I wanted to just thank everyone for your work on that, and to, of course, allow you to answer or ask any questions that they may be able to answer or highlight regarding this grant or OMA programming or anything that you may have, along the lines of this item.
Sure. Anybody have any questions? Great job. Great job, media team, too, for putting that together as well. So good job.
I wanted to provide an update on the splash pad. As you are aware, we've had some intermittent operational issues on our new splash pad. Those issues began soon after the main water supply line serving the splash pad itself within the park, so not any mains or anything along the water distribution system. It's simply the line feeding our splash pad. We had issues with the pressure, and I believe there were some comments on social media regarding the overpressure. And in addition to that, that was causing water hammer, which is where you often hear when you turn your water on or off rather quickly or suddenly, it results in that kind of jolt or that shake. And that was occurring within the splash pad itself, and as a result, a leak resulted in one of the line valves, and so that was subsequently replaced under warranty. However, soon after that, we started having issues with the control panel, and that is also under warranty. So as a result, our Public Works Operation Manager, DJ Welsh, has informed us that we'll be receiving a new control panel to put in and install, and that should resolve the issue, we hope. If we do experience any issues between now and when it's received, which we don't have an exact timeline on when that is to arrive, but it should be, I would imagine, within the coming weeks. We do have an interim solution with the talented staff that we have in our water wastewater division to install a bypass line around that. However, that does come with the cost of us being able to manage the operational hours, because of course we're taking the control panel offline that controls the water valve to the whole system. So by doing that, once the activation occurs, it would just go through a normal operation cycle and then would cease. And so if you have any questions over past occurrences or where we currently stand, I know we're prepared to answer questions you might have, and DJ's here.
Sure. Anybody have any questions?
On that warranty, is that specifically manufacturer's warranty on that part? Is that
it is the manufacturer, which is ATCO, which is one of the largest nationwide, and it's quite common in most in a lot of the urban and rural splash pads in our area.
Is that a 1 year from date of purchase? Do we know what a time frame is on that warranty?
I want to say it's a year, but I'll defer to
That's great. Any other questions? You know, I can't think of an amenity we've added to any of our parks that's had such a big splash as this one here. I had to, I'm sorry. But I will say this, people in town just love it. The kids, I drive by seeing them screaming and hollering, and it's just great to see the excitement in town of having something like this. We've been waiting a long time for this, and we finally got it. And I know we'll have some kinks to work through as we're going through now, but I know we'll get there, and I'm sure it's going to be just fine. So thanks, DJ, for all your work on this, and City Manager making that happen. So thank you.
Yeah, and I want to thank DJ as well as our Justin McCurdy and his crew with our water wastewater lines, because they're been consulted throughout the process and helped to craft this interim solution if it's needed.
Very good. Good teamwork. All right. Anything else, City Manager?
I would like to just give a brief rundown on the recent global Windows operating system issue with CrowdStrike. If there's any fellow nerds out there like myself, they'll recognize the IT crowd. Unfortunately, we weren't able to turn it back on again, and that's essentially the issue at hand. Once an update occurred within a 2-hour window, and it was subsequently known, so not all of our computers were impacted. And then I want to thank Paul and thank Austin for their work, because as is always the case, we have 3 highly competent and capable and very giving and generous of their time computer technicians, and John was on vacation and out that day. So we were reduced by 1/3, and they, in order to bring the computers that were impacted back online, they had to physically touch them and go in and activate the solution through the blue screen, if you will. And so that required them to sit down at each station to perform that task. And want to reiterate that the critical infrastructure systems for our water, wastewater, flood control, and electric grid were unimpacted, and that goes specifically to the design of our system, which is standalone and not connected to and on our own system. So with that, I'll defer to any questions that you may have, and Paul is willing to go into any details that you may have, because I know, like, Commissioner Clayton has forgotten more about this kind of stuff than I know, so I will need to defer to the experts.
Okay, anybody have more questions?
I have a question not about this. Are there more comments? Or is
Yes.
This, okay. I'll wait to see if you cover it first.
This is kind of just some operational highlights, which we had our water distribution division do a automatic flusher near the golf course, and that essentially generated due to a larger demand in the northeast portion of the city, it helps with the chlorine residuals at that northeast tower location, so that we're cycling through and not having the chlorine buildup in the tower there, as well as if it weren't flowing sufficiently, then what that does is help drain the tower so that the water doesn't become stagnant and the effectiveness of the chlorine slipping below those minimal standards, which would be required for permit compliance. And then, of course, it helps with the golf course pond. So I do want to point out, I just noticed that when I mentioned our former street director, it's actually our water and sewer, so I wanted to point out that was Justin Carey. So I apologize to Justin and his team. Want to point out some activities going on here with Public Works, where in preparation for the school year, we have roughly 100 crosswalks in and around the immediate 1 to 2 block radius of our schools that are both our public and private schools here. So we're about 60% of the way through, and you'll be noticing that's ongoing. And that also includes the reflective beads that will help those markings stand out in limited visibility at night. And then assisting our water wastewater division with a sewer line repair at the intersection of Spruce and Powhatan, with pavement repair following a sewer line connection there. Then just some activities that have occurred during the last couple of weeks. So you'll notice our new officers completed their field training, Officer Alden and Carl, and also the replacement of the park playground equipment's underway. and we had our Aviation Explorer breakfast out at the airport with a good number of folks flying in for that. Want to have some tentative upcoming items at our next commission meeting. And want to highlight an electric system update and thank Jeff and Ed and the whole team for it's like a Murphy's Law occurring today. We had Circuit 10 experience multiple outages initially due to a broken utility pole that impacted the entire circuit. Once that circuit was back online, but in safe mode, so that they could essentially perform the repair while the line's active and charged. That means that the system's configured to where if there is a surge that occurs on the line, then at the substation it shuts it down. And unfortunately, while that was underway, an unsuspecting bird met its fate at one of our large industrial customers, where a bird landed on the line and caused an arc and resulted in a surge, which tripped the line back off. And when that occurred, our crews had to obviously understand the situation and identify where that may have occurred at on that line, and still continue to make the repair of the initial incident that was the result of a broken pole, all the while bringing that back online, only to find out that, which you can't tell by just looking, you have to charge it, that the transformer was damaged in that event that caused another. And so part of the issue with this is given the industrial load that's on that, if we don't put it in like safe mode when it's activated, it will or could potentially cause damage to increase the load outside. So if there aren't adequate surge protectors or a transformer that's meeting the design load, then that could result in damage to equipment inside on other businesses. So again, that caused a result, and we have crews currently out replacing that transformer to our large customer up there. So
were we in contact with that customer about the damage that had been done and roughly when it will be replaced?
We are actively working with them. I'll defer to Jeff on that, but yes, and I had spoke with another large customer, and it indicated that I would be back in touch once we had additional information. And while actually when meeting with Ed to get this information, another incident occurred. So I didn't want to call in the middle of an incident, and I didn't want to bother our crews that were out to assess the third incident that caused, because we are working on limited capacity, the folks that I have to go to get the answers would be doing the work. And so I have reached out by text and offered to call, because that was part of why I was late coming down, is I was finishing this slide update because I just got all the information, and then trying to reach out to our customers that may have been impacted. So I'm trying to schedule calls for this evening or tomorrow morning at their convenience to address that, and then we'll have an after-action review on the whole process and what we can better do to affect that. One of the things that will help will be once we get our AMI metering up. Now, these are industrial customers, so that requires a unique beast if we want to begin to assess that so that they're notified. But we do expect for any sort of outage to be at least identified and repaired within 2 hours. That's not always possible, but by and large, what we're seeking to be able to do is to determine whether or not will this be a long incident, a short incident, or the potential for a recurring type event while things are brought back online. So looking at the processes and ways that we can better communicate to that. And so we've got some ideas, and we'll circle around to improve that. It's something that's been on our list to do. It's just we haven't yet got there because we were hoping to kind of roll all of it out as we started the conversion process with our Empower and our Doppler and the AMIs.
So just to be clear, so everybody's aware, this wasn't a system failure. This wasn't a City of Ottawa electrical system failure. This was faulty equipment, a pole that rotted out
Today
that
yes.
fell over and crossed phases, and then second of all, burred. And then as you're putting those lines back up and reattaching, I'm assuming that you're running into a few other issues down the line.
Mm-hmm. And we have assessed the incident that occurred yesterday, and essentially one was an act of God and the other was a human error, and we're taking the appropriate and corrective measures necessary for that to ensure that it doesn't happen again.
And the reason I ask is I because of yesterday and then today, and then certainly, we've had issues with squirrels, trees, things like that. I've had a lot of folks reach out to me, concerned about it. What's going on with the City of Ottawa's
Understandably
electric.
so.
And we're also trying to fill an industrial park on the south side of town too, and we certainly don't need, the folks talking, hey, I want to come to your community, but I've heard you have electrical issues. How am I supposed to be feel comfortable moving my industrial business to your community if you guys can't take care of our needs? Now, I agree with you. I'm glad that you didn't reach out to Ed a lot today, because I was with Ed for a little bit replacing a service that had been ripped off on one of those houses, and he was getting calls and could barely do any work. So quite frankly, I think in a situation like that, I understand, there are individuals that are needing some information, but I think quite frankly, maybe he should put the phone down and take care of some of that stuff, because he can't get anything done, unfortunately. But it's, I'm glad to hear it's not a system error. And I want folks to be aware that it's not a system error, that the guys that are out there doing the work are doing everything they can, but with thousands of poles, you're going to have an issue like this come up every once in a while.
Yeah, and we do have an inspection program, and there's things that we're currently looking at to make our asset management system and reliability more robust. But by and large, it's one of those things where if we want to be proactive and have a systematic replacement of things within the life cycle, that costs money and results in higher rates, because we are essentially operating a nonprofit at bare bones minimum, because we're not even capturing the ideal fund balance that we would have for reserve and carryover capacity. So we're trying to kind of balance that so that we're able to create a process and a system that allows us to triage the most needy as well as the most critical, because oftentimes something that may not be needy, but if it fails, it's going to bring an entire system down. One of the things that we will be bringing to you at the first meeting in August will be a bid award for the second year of our 4-year primary feeder tree trimming grant, or not grant, I'm sorry, a bid award. And that would be the second of a 4-year process that will then lead into us needing to go down the individual alleys. Now, the individual alleys that are fed off of these primary lines, which are causing the trips, are buffered with fuses that are, limited to anywhere from 1 to 8 homes kind of thing, depending on how many are served. But yes, we had roughly 155, 58 or so customers impacted with the outages today, and I know that's frustrating and it's stressful. And it's stressful for us as well, and not nearly as so as the businesses whose operation, where time is money, and the product that's in process is damaged as a result of this. So we're well aware, and we'll be again proactively reaching out, and we'll expedite our communication process with respect to duration as we go forward.
And I'm assuming, did this go out on Everbridge as well?
No.
It did not. Okay.
No. And that's something that we want to look at. But again, that needs to be automated within, we have folks that give us the contact information, and we would have essentially a separate distribution list that would be utilized, but then that also requires us to not only initially respond, but to be able to have an assessment before we communicate. Once the AMI is in place, the last gasp portion of that handshake, which means when a meter it loses its power supply, it sends out a
heartbeat, basically.
Exactly, and then that notifies individuals in the system as a whole that it's out. Now, we're part of the delay in rolling this out is we've incorporated Doppler into the process as well, so that we're able to essentially stack the ability for folks to see the map, the outage map, whether they have an AMI meter or they're utilizing Doppler. So if they're utilizing the Doppler system to make us aware of the outage because they have an older meter, then they'll be able to at least access but they have to utilize Doppler in order to be seen to reflect the outage at that location. And we're going to, as part of that tree trimming, we're gonna kind of highlight like, this is your electric system 101. We'll touch a little bit on our generation and our capacity and what all goes into that. And then we'll also get into the various components of the distribution system, because it is kind of nebulous. And so we want to make sure that when we throw terms around that we at the city are using the correct term and consistently using the same term for the same piece of hardware and infrastructure, but also that the public's aware of what that is and what it means, and working on some nice graphics and visuals as well to help us explain that to our neighbors, because it's ultimately their system that we're given stewardship of. So we want to make sure that they understand what all that entails, and that we are working to make life better for them, and to make the services, whether it's water or sewer or electric, more reliable for them.
And did you say it was 58 customers?
Roughly 150 to 160. But that would also include in the system, when I was just kind of glancing at it, locates and whatnot. But the vast majority were initially reported outages. Now, near as I can tell, I believe all of our incidents, as they're known, have been closed. So I don't believe we have any outstanding at this time.
Okay, so the majority of those folks should be back on.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Do we, when things like this happen as well, do we reach out to COFO as kind of another modality to get info out?
Today, I honestly didn't have time, or you wouldn't have had commentary, and I wouldn't have known what to say, just because of how it all kind of unfolded. Because we know that something's happened, but we don't know, is this a blip? Just one thing, and we get get that restored and everyone's back online, or is this a larger incident, or like the bird that caused a transformer issue that was adjacent to where the strike occurred? So that makes sense.
Thank you. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Pro Tem Allen had a question?
No, we took
You
care
got
of
it?
it.
You got it taken care of. Very good. All right, let's start with commissioner comments. And let's start, Commissioner Kaler, you're still on? You want to have any comments?
Commissioner Kaler is still on, and no comments at this time.
Very good. Thanks, sir. Commissioner Clayton.
Just shout out to the IT crew as well as city manager Silcott mentioned. Blue screens of death are no fun, and having worked in IT for a long time, I know how that works at 6 a.m. starting to figure out that there's issues, and so props to them for getting that handled. Kind of globally, there was a lot of issues with that. Then just again with DJ and his crew, want to shout out for the splash pad. We had mentioned, and when we first started looking at a splash pad, that this was kind of our first flush of it. We were hoping to just get one in place and actually see if there was a need. And so hopefully we can kind of take this example and maybe potentially in time see if there's other locations around the city that could use it, because I think the dollars spent per hour of enjoyment so far this summer are already looking pretty good as an investment. So.
Good. Anything else? Nope. Good. Commissioner Crowley.
Commissioner Clayton, the mayor will use all the puns today, if you, just so you know. I just want to say thank you to the utility crew. They did a heck of a job today. I know doing similar yet different work that when you think you've fixed the issue, another one's going to come along for sure. But they were hot and sweaty and working their tails off and did a great job. So thank you to them guys.
Hey, Pro Tem Allen.
I have no comment.
No comment. And my VCR is still flashing 12, and that has had for 15 years. I guess it's not yours, probably too, right? Yeah. Okay. We'll just let it ride. I don't care about that.
Commissioner Clayton, do you know what a VCR is?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. Of course you did. I just have one more comment. We did have a local celebrity here, Ella Sherpy from our Ottawa Middle School. She won an award for writing into the state of Kansas regarding duties and responsibilities of the city commission and the mayor. And she got, there were 6 awardees out of 400 submissions. And so she won here for Ottawa Middle School for the Southeast Kansas regional area. So we're going to get her in sometime. We'll have her open the meeting, open her pledge or something, and pound the gavel here a little bit, give her some experience. And maybe someday she'll be competing against some of us up here someday for that. I hope I'm done by that time. She'll be a pretty good mayor, no doubt. Just the comments or the announcements we have. We just have a splash pad ribbon cutting course at 10 a.m. City Park on Thursday, the 30th. We have a city commission meeting, of course, on July 31st at 4 o'clock. And National Night Out from 6 to 8 p.m. on August 8th. And we have several different selections or different parties. You know how many we got? Gloria, do you know how many we have? Okay. I know they're coming in. It's going to take a while. We haven't done this for a few years, and so it kind of takes a while to get it built back up. But that's a great way for us to get out into the community, and we're looking forward to having a good time on that particular night. If nothing else to come before the City Commission meeting, I guess today we are adjourned.